I only ever used to feel one emotion while looking in the bathroom mirror, and that was joy. Pure, unadulterated joy. The kind of joy a child feels on Christmas morning while opening their new Action Man with accompanying chopper. The kind of joy only comparable to a parent seeing their offspring stand on 2 feet and take their very first steps. The kind of joy, oh my god, what is that? Yes, the trip to the bathroom mirror that was once brimmed with more joy than Big E's semen sample has turned into an absolute nightmare. I can't look in the mirror now without crying, and the same goes for wrestling. Look at what it's done to me, please send help. I used to cry at the moments they wanted us all to cry at, but now... I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic.com, and in no particular order, here are the 10 most tear-jerking moments in WWE history. Join us. Number 10, Daniel Bryan's retirement speech. I know, kicking things off with a retirement speech does seem a bit of a cop-out, but this was a send-off that hit all the right notes. While this was certainly more of a celebration of everything that Daniel Bryan loved about professional wrestling, there were a few instances that had us all reaching for the Kleenex. The quiver in his voice when he says, "Maybe my brain isn't as okay as I thought it was." The mention of Connor the Crusher. The story of how his dad got to see him wrestle for the first time in front of what he considered to be a partisan hometown crowd. This was a speech that hit us harder than most do because Daniel is just so damn likeable. It's hard to watch a man you admire and genuinely would love to enjoy a pint and a natter with, if he drank of course, have to give up something he loves well before his time was due. We laughed, we cried, we thought and reflected on that night last February, but most importantly of all, we realised just how grateful we are for Daniel Bryan and all he's done for us. Number 9, I'm sorry. I love you. Heading into WrestleMania 24, we all knew that Ric Flair was about to be retired by Shawn Michaels, but none of us could have predicted the journey arguably two of the best to ever lace up a pair of boots were about to take us on. Combined between the legendary pair was 61 years of experience and 64 titles, a whopping 20 of which were world championships. The records were there and can never be taken away, but this was a performance that well and truly set the pair apart from most. Never has a scripted moment in a match felt more real. In the build-up to delivering the third and final Sweet Chin music, the Heartbreak Kid looked across the ring at his defiant hero and said, "I'm sorry, I love you." The sheer magnitude of the emotion in the moment was so much that Flair was blubbering like a lost seal cub before his back even hit the mat. Michaels wasn't much more stable, hugging Flair's head, giving him a solitary kiss before vacating the ring to allow the Nature Boy to soak up the adulation of the near 75,000 in attendance. 37 years on the road and all the sacrifices that come with that culminated to this moment. It would have been the perfect send-off if only Ric Flair wasn't addicted to performing. There are worse things to be addicted to, I suppose, but Flair's final match leads us on to number 8, Ric Flair's retirement speech. Hey now, if it manages to get The Undertaker not only breaking kayfabe and hugging other performers live on air, but welling up while in gimmick, then it's more than worthy of a place on this list. Arguably the greatest retirement ceremony in the history of wrestling saw the near 40-year career of Ric Flair celebrated with the entire WWE roster on the ramp, and legendary friends and foes alike, including the likes of Wyndham, Anderson, Blanchard, Dillon, Steamboat, Race, and Cena all in the ring. Ric's speech was one of the shorter goodbyes we've heard down the years, which might just tell us the difficulty in which he took the whole thing. Nevertheless, seeing what we thought was one last strut and elbow drop onto a jacket, plus the thousands of watering eyeballs, was too much. Number 7, Jim Ross announces Owen Hart's passing. Owen Hart passed away due to an accident at Over the Edge 1999, when a harness that was set to lower him to the ring gave way, causing him to plummet almost 80 feet and land chest first onto the top rope. Fans in the arena were confused at what they'd just seen, many thinking it was all part of an elaborate stunt. The fans at home were completely out of the loop as the fall took place while a pre-match video package was airing. When the live show went back on air, medical teams were seeing to Hart while Jim Ross repeatedly told the crowd that what was going on was not part of a wrestling angle and that Hart was seriously hurt. Later in the night, time stood still as a crestfallen JR told the watching world that he had the unfortunate responsibility to let everyone know that Owen Hart had died. We didn't know what to think. How could a fantastic professional wrestler and a wonderful family man be cut down in his prime like this? Hearing of anyone's passing is always difficult, but just imagine being JR for a second. Hearing that one of your friends is no longer with us a mere 10 seconds before having to tell the rest of the world. Unfathomable. Number 6, The Undertaker's last ride? And we thought the tears jerked from our heads by The Undertaker at WrestleMania 30 could never be topped. Jeez Louise. The writing appeared to be on the wall for The Undertaker as WrestleMania WrestleMania 34 edged closer to its main event. The announcement that Jim Ross, the voice of WWE for much of Taker's career, would be calling his match with Roman Reigns, plus the fact it was going on last, signaled that the end was indeed nigh. Lo and behold, after being defeated by the big dog, we started to realize that the single greatest run in WWE history was over. 27 unforgettable years flashed in front of our eyes as the old gunslinger left his gear in the middle of the ring and descended into oblivion. As he sank into the ramp, so did the realization that a once-in-a-few-generations run was over, the likes of which we're likely to never see again. Number 5, Conor the Crusher's Hall of Fame tribute video. Let's not beat around the bush here, this is the single most tear-jerking moment in this list, or in any list in the entire history of the internet. Please do remember that this list isn't in any kind of order, as it just felt wrong to rank one moment's importance above another. Not even William Shakespeare's words could do this video justice, you just have to go and watch it. Enjoy it, even though you will cry and cry some more, you'll be left with a soaking wet smile on your face. It's a celebration of a free spirit and a wonderful human being. Even though you've never met Conor, the genuine warmth you feel from all of those talking about him makes you feel like he's your little brother. It just hits you in that place. We all know WWE can fall short of our expectations at times, but instances like this prove they go above and beyond when it really matters. Knowing this young man didn't have long to live, they gave him the WrestleMania experience of a lifetime alongside his hero Daniel Bryan, and even gave him a pinfall victory over Triple H. Number 4, Edge's retirement speech. It's the unexpected nature of Edge's retirement speech that really gets you. At WrestleMania 27, he was on top of the world, defending his World Heavyweight Championship against Alberto Del Rio before smashing the Aristocrats' Rolls Royce because crime, hahaha, lol. Just 8 days later, he was in the middle of the ring on Raw, giving everyone watching a lesson on how dangerous wrestling really is. 8 years earlier, Edge had broken his neck, meaning the latter chunk of his career was on borrowed time. He told of how he passed strength tests that got him through his Mania match, but then, all of a sudden, one MRI showed that he had to retire. One more bad fall and it could have been neck-down paralysis or even death. That was it. A 14-year WWE run that wielded the most championships in history was over, and the Rated R Superstar turned Retired R Superstar in an instant. The speech itself was from the heart and evoked one hell of a noise from the live audience. His fandom for WWE still burned bright, while he thanked best friend of 27 years, Christian, for helping him come to terms with what was happening. Again, this was the story of a likeable fellow cut down before his time was due. Number 3, Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth reunite. SummerSlam 1991 saw what feels like the only wrestling marriage not to end up in cake being thrown all over the shop take place as Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth tied the knot. For once, all was well in Bizarro Land. Happiness soon turned to dismay, however, as the madness just went madder. He turned heel and left the Princess Diana of professional wrestling for the Johnny Rotten of the women's ranks in Sensational Sherry. Instead of moving on from that no-good Jezebel of a man and finding love with somebody pure, insert picture of Mojo Rawley here, Elizabeth was forced to watch her former man from the crowd, right up until he lost a retirement match against the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 7. After losing, Sherry turned on her new man and lay in the boots like he was in a loose pit of turf on a golf course. This was all that Liz could take. She hopped the barricade, took out the trash, and offered herself back to Savage, who, after pausing for just enough to make the moment dramatic rather than dragging on, embraced his former love. If after watching you didn't look like this, or this, then you're an absolutely massive liar. Number 2, Lillian Garcia's performance on the SmackDown after 9/11. 2 days on from the tragic scenes in New York, a SmackDown taping was one of, if not the first huge gathering of people to take place. A monumental occasion indeed when you consider the country as a whole didn't know if they were still under attack or not. I don't know about you, but whenever Lillian Garcia belts out a national anthem, it gets me welling up. Imagine then an anthem where the emotion is so high that Lillian Garcia herself can't quite make it through. Vince McMahon's rousing speech beforehand set the ball up for Lillian, and goodness gracious me, did she knock it out of the park. She probably knocked it out of 2 parks. Once again, this is one of those moments that you really need to see, as my words simply can't do it justice. Number 1, Eddie Guerrero's tribute night. 18 months after Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit embraced in one of the WrestleMania moments that we'll never forget, the latter openly wept on a Raw the day after the former, his best friend, was found dead in his hotel room at the age of 38. The November 14th, 2005 edition of Raw was dedicated to Eddie, with a universe in mourning coming together to celebrate the life of a universally popular figure. Benoit's emotions on the night were the tip of the iceberg, as it was clear to see just what Eddie meant to the entire roster. If the 10-bell salute at the start of the show doesn't get you going, how are you even breathing? Then the countless interviews and montages will. It was a fitting send-off for one of the greatest of all time, and essential viewing for professional wrestling and crying fans alike. I've been Adam Pacitti, and that was our list. Do you agree? Let us know in the comments down below, and don't forget, join us.